कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण राम राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमन हरि गोविंद जय जय राधा रमन हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमन हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद हरे गोपाल हरे गोविंद हरे गोपाल हरे अजय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरे बोलो जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरे हरे हराय नमः कृष्ण यादवाय नमः हरि हराय नमः कृष्ण यादवाय नमः यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः बोलो यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदमा व्रज गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदमा गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदमा गिरिधरी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहना गिरिधरी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहना श्री रूप श्री सनातन भट रघुनाथ श्री रूप श्री सनातन भट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट दस रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट दस रघुनाथ श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद और श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत सीता हरि गुरु वैष्णव भागवत गीता बोलो हरि गुरु वैष्णव भगवत गीता हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय प्रभुपरा 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 जय प्रभुपरा नीता गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नीता गौर हरि बोल 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 नदिया गोद्र में नित्यानंद महाजन नदिया गोद्र में नित्यानंद महाजन श्राद्धवन जाने श्राद्धवन जाने श्राद्धवन जाने श्राद्धवन जाने प्राबाई मगिए बिकार प्रभु आज्ञा बाई मगिए बिकाय बोलो कृष्णा बाजो कृष्णा करो कृष्ण शिक्षा बोलो कृष्णा बाजो कृष्णा करो कृष्ण शिक्षा अपराध शून्य हुए लोह कृष्ण नाम अपराध शून्य हुए लोह कृष्ण नाम कृष्ण माता कृष्ण पिता कृष्ण दाना प्राण गुरु
Everybody just stand up. Maharaj coming.
So Maharaj is about to arrive, so please stand. Gurudev 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 Jai Gurudev जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद हरि बोल 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 Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Gaur Premanandi. Oh, Hare Krishna. It's very nice to be here in Arouca Mandir. And sorry I was a little late, but I had to stop by and see Balakrishna Prabhu. And so Um, actually, I was thinking, because do we have a set of books here? Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila. I was thinking, because tomorrow is Advaitacharya's appearance day, I'll speak a little bit about Advaitacharya and okay. And so I'll read a couple verses, just explain a little bit about his ontological position. Otherwise, who is he? You know? And then a few of his pastimes, you know, that are very, very unique. Especially the pastime of Krishna reciprocating in the form of like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, reciprocating with him for his calling the Lord. He called the Lord. You know, and there's a reason why he did that. You know, and so we can speak about those things, and it's very nice. Otherwise, if we don't have it, I could use my computer. We don't have it? Okay. Can you go? I'll tell the time to bring my computer back. Hare Krishna. So I could mention something. I've been mentioning this. Sometimes when devotees chant the Maha Mantra a little faster speed, there's a tendency to say Hari Ram. No. But in Sanskrit there is no Ram. There's only Rama. No. This is a Hindi corruption of Sanskrit. No. In Hindi they cut off the last syllable, or half of the last syllable. I think. So, actually, Dhanachandra Goswami, who's in our line of acharyas, he said that the Maha Mantra is a 32-syllable mantra, and therefore we should not make it a 28-syllable mantra, you know, by saying Ram. So this is just Hindi. Also Bengali, they do that to some degree. So these languages, Hindi, Bengali, all the languages of India, they're coming from Sanskrit, but just like any language that comes from another one, it gets transformed. So Sanskrit is the most beautiful language in the world. It's so unique, it's so special, that they use it in NASA for the computer system. They don't use English or, it's so perfect. The grammar is so perfect. So anyway, if we can remember that, just keep the mantra. What did Dhanachandra, he also said, if you don't chant the mantra with all the syllables, then you don't get the full benefit. So that's a very good thing to do. So first I'll read from Adi Lila chapter 6, which tells about who is Advaitacharya. So I'll just read a few verses and then and a purport. But a couple of verses before that. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Mahavishnu Shishti Karina Jagadadikarya Tandravatara Sakshat Advaita Acharya. Mahavishnu performs all the functions for creation of the universes. Shri Advaita Acharya is his direct incarnation. So there's a few verses that we'll jump over for time's sake. Shri Advaita Acharya is a plenary part of that Purusha of Mahavishnu, and so is not different from him. Indeed, Shri Advaita Acharya is not separate, but is another form of that Purusha. Jagat Mangala Advaita Mangala Guna Dham Mangala Charita Sada Mangala Jnanam. So in this verse it says Mangala, or auspicious, 4 times. Being a reservoir of all auspicious attributes, saying it 4 times. Auspicious for the world, Jagat Mangala. Jagat Gunadam means the reservoir of all auspicious qualities. Wow, even that's how Prabhupada translated it. Mangala Charita, all his activities are auspicious. And Mangala Jnanam, and his name is auspicious. His characteristics, activities, and name are always auspicious, and he's all auspicious for the world. So Srila Prabhupada's purport. Shri Advaita Acharya, who is an incarnation of Mahavishnu, is an Acharya, or teacher. All his activities and all the other activities of Vishnu are auspicious. Anyone who can view the all auspiciousness in the pastimes of Lord Vishnu also becomes auspicious simultaneously. Therefore, since Lord Vishnu is the fountainhead of all auspiciousness, anyone who is attracted by devotional service of Lord Vishnu can render the greatest service to human society. Rejected persons of the material world who refuse to understand pure devotional service as the eternal function of the living entities and as actual liberation of the living being from conditioned life become bereft of all devotional service because of their poor fund of knowledge. So here's Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganam Jana Sharakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Srila Prabhupada is explaining that because the Lord is auspicious, if you surrender to him, you become auspicious. And then whatever you do, and especially whatever you say, becomes auspicious. So otherwise, if we want to help others, we should become auspicious by worshipping the all-auspicious. And Advaita Acharya, and we'll cover that in a couple of minutes, why he's so auspicious. In the teachings of Advaita Prabhu, there is no question of fruitive activities or impersonal liberation. Bewildered by the spell of material energy, however, persons who could not understand that Advaita Prabhu is non-different from Vishnu wanted to follow him with their impersonal conceptions. The attempt of Advaita Prabhu to punish them is also auspicious. It's a punishment. Otherwise, if Sri Guru punishes us, if Krishna punishes us, actually Krishna doesn't punish anyone. No. Especially his devotees. But it may seem like punishment because we're addicted to things that are not auspicious. So because he wants to make us auspicious, it seems like he's punishing us. No. Just like I've said on many occasions, we may pray to Krishna, please take away all my desires, but not this one. No. And not that one. No. Everything else, okay, but leave those. So sometimes we do like that. Lord Vishnu and his activities can bestow all good fortune directly and indirectly. Indirectly means that his mercy sometimes comes in a way that we're not so anxious for it to come. No. In other words, being favored by Lord Vishnu and being punished by Lord Vishnu are one and the same because all the activities of Vishnu are absolute. Just like a child Everything the parents do for the child is good for them. But according to the child's mind, when I get chocolate or ice cream or so, that's good. But when I get like okra, that's not so good. No. Especially if it's boiled okra. No. According to some, another Mangala, or auspiciousness, was another name of Advaita Prabhu. Whoops. The garland is. As the causal incarnation, or Lord Vishnu's incarnation for a particular occasion, he is the supply agent or ingredient in material nature. However, he is never considered material. All his activities are spiritual. Anyone who hears about and glorifies him becomes glorified himself. For such activities free one from all kinds of misfortune. One should not invest any material contamination or impersonalism in the Vishnu form. Everyone should try to understand the real identity of Lord Vishnu. For by such knowledge one can attain the highest stage of perfection. So why is Prabhupada speak so much about impersonal in this verse? Advaita Acharya, when he was having pastimes with Lord Vishnu, he was with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was, like 35, 40 years older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was having his pastimes, Advaita Acharya was like, maybe 60, 70 years old. And so, but Advaita Acharya always considered himself to be a servant. But because Lord Chaitanya wanted to show what is auspicious, then Lord Chaitanya would treat him as a worshipable person, as his superior. But Advaita Acharya didn't like that. And so on several occasions, when they would be dancing, it would be very common that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would, when he was dancing, he would faint. So whenever he would faint, Advaita Acharya would run up and grab his lotus feet and rub it on his head. He would even use his hair to clean the Lord's feet, like this. And but then Lord Chaitanya would wake up, and on one occasion, he said, Advaita, why are you behaving so badly? He said, my dear Lord, you are the most auspicious person. You know everything. So please stop playing these games and just accept my worship. And then the Lord grabbed him, and they were like wrestling, But of course, Lord Chaitanya is young and strong by external. Of course, they're both Vishnu. They're both unlimitedly powerful. But Lord Chaitanya would control, and then he would say, all right, you have defeated me this time. And then they would do it again. But one time, Advaita, he was frustrated. And he said, after the Lord, he said, someone has stolen away my devotion. Where is that thief? Talking about Advaita. And so Advaita, he said, any cobbler can get your mercy. Any thief and rascal can get your mercy. But myself and Srivas, we cannot get your mercy because Lord Chaitanya also treated Srivas like a superior. So then Lord Chaitanya was not happy when he said that. And so Lord Chaitanya ran out of the room and jumped into the Ganga. And Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas ran after him and pulled him out of the water. And And then he said, I am going to the house of Nandanananacharya. Do not follow me and don't tell anyone where I am, otherwise you will never see me again. No. So, not going to say anything. And Lord Chaitanya would, anytime he wanted the devotees to do something they didn't want to do, because they felt like it was demeaning to the Lord, he would say that, if you don't do this, you'll never see me again. So that way he always got his way. And so Advaita, so the Lord didn't come back. Nityananda Haridas came back, like with a bewildered look on their face, because they couldn't say anything. But everyone was asking them, "Where's the Lord?" Well, we don't know. No, and they didn't believe. But so Advaita went home. The next morning, Lord Chaitanya stayed up all night, speaking with Nandanananacharya about about Krishna's pastime. They never said. Many times, Lord Chaitanya would never sleep. He would stay up all night just talking about Krishna or hearing about Krishna. So he said, go and bring Srivas. So Srivas came. He said, so how is Advaita? Oh, my Lord, you cannot believe how he is. He's not eating, he's not sleeping. The only thing that keeps him alive is the hope that someday he will again see you. So Lord Chaitanya went to see him, and Advaita was just sitting there like a stone statue with a forlorn look on his face. Lord Chaitanya came up, smiled, and he said, I am here only because of you. And then Advaita says, I have failed you, my Lord. I have made you unhappy, and therefore, what is the use of living? And he said, no. He said, sometimes the king has a minister, and the minister serves the king by paying all the other guards and everything. But if the minister does something wrong, then the king may have to kill him. So he understood the Lord punished him, but he still wasn't happy. He said, my Lord, I will only be happy when you make me your servant. So after that happened, Advaita thought, what can I do? How can I make Lord Chaitanya how can I make him accept me as his servant, and he's my worshipable Lord? So Advaita thought about it. He said, I will preach impersonal philosophy. I will teach from the lessons of Patanjali and Nyaya and different types of logic. And he began to teach his students that, if you worship Krishna, sometimes he doesn't tell the truth. So he says, Sarvadhamam parichaja mamekam sharanam braja. Aham tvam mokshayami ma shuchaha. So, but how can we believe that? No. He lied. He lied on the battle of Kurukshetra. He would steal from neighbors. But if you follow the process of yoga, then you will achieve liberation. Therefore, don't follow Krishna, follow the yoga process and follow the philosophy of Shankaracharya. And he was preaching like that. And so, but he was doing it, even his students knew that he was just, they didn't know what he was doing, but they didn't believe him. But he was doing that, so Lord Chaitanya heard about it. He said, Nityananda, let us go see this so-called Advaita. And so they went. On the way, of course, there's some pastimes on the way, but we don't have time for all that. they finally arrived. Lord Chaitanya was so angry that he was so desirous of getting there quickly, because the current flows in the Ganga flows against, it goes from Shantipur to Mayapur. But Lord Chaitanya was swimming in the Ganga and he was going up against the current, just like a fish, And Nityananda was behind him, but sometimes he would be delayed because when he saw an alligator, he would go up and slap the alligator, and grab it by its tail, And Lord Chaitanya would say, "Come, but wait till we have to get there quickly, stop playing with the alligators." So, crocodiles. So, they got there. Lord Chaitanya was so angry, he was beating on the door. And Sita Devi, Advaita Acharya's wife, opened the door, practically knocked her over, ran through the door. And he said, "What?" He said, "What are you doing? You called me to this world. I was sleeping very peacefully on the ocean of milk. And you said you called me. I came just to please you. You are the reason I'm here. And now you are preaching against me." So he grabbed Advaita like by his chadar and he started shaking him. And then he threw him down on the ground. He started slapping him. And Advaita was in ecstasy. And Malini was there. And Sita, they said, "No, he's an old man. No, he's an old man. Be careful." And Advaita was in bliss. And then Lord Chaitanya smiled. And then they embraced him and Advaita said, "Now, by your mercy, I have become successful. Now you have made me your servant." And he said, anyone who worships you is worshipable by me. And Lord Chaitanya said, anyone who worships me but doesn't worship you, they will go to hell. And so then they got up and they started a big kirtan. So that's the reason that Srila Prabhupada is speaking about impersonal here. So we'll go back to our previous chapter and read something very beautiful. So, Advaita, of course, we've heard this from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Advaita, actually it says in Chaitanya Bhagavat that when Lord Chaitanya appeared, Kali Yuga became accelerated by his arrangement. Kali Yuga, otherwise, normally in Kali Yuga after 5,000 years, it wouldn't be this bad. It would be, just like a little bit of materialism increasing, some cheating, but not as bad as it is now. No. And so, but Lord Chaitanya made Kali Yuga speed up so that the contrast would be greater. That's why Lord Chaitanya decided that, now I will usher in the age of Kali. So we're actually about where Kali Yuga would be after about 100,000 years, right now. He sped it up that much. And then, why? So that people would see how merciful Lord Chaitanya is. And they would take that mercy. If everything, just like everything goes well, even in our lives as devotees, sometimes we become a little addicted to comfort. If you have some money, you get addicted to wealth. If you have some good qualities, or you get addicted to these things. So Lord Chaitanya made it so that it was really miserable. So in Navadvip was the greatest misery. The greatest misery is that people were very advanced in knowledge, but they were using all of their knowledge just for auspicious, mundane activities. And it's said in Chaitanya Bhagavat that people would The only time they would say the name of Govinda was when it appeared in some mantra. No one would worship Govinda. And so it was very difficult. So it came to the point where the Brahmins, because all the problems in Navadvip were caused by the Brahmins. They weren't caused by the Muslims. The Muslims didn't care. Lord Chaitanya's chanting or devotees are dancing. They didn't care. But the Brahmins were very upset because they felt threatened. These devotees are very powerful. When they speak, everyone comes. Haridas, especially Haridas Thakur, was preaching very strongly. And he was telling everyone, just chant the holy name. You don't need all these, yagyas and everything. You just chant the holy name. So the Brahmins, their income was from mantras and yagyas. And so they were very upset. So they started saying, this Srivas, because they were having kirtan in Srivas's house. If you don't stop this, because they would stay up till 12, 1 o'clock, 2 in the morning, sometimes chant all night, because they felt the atmosphere was so impure. So they just kept getting worse. And then they finally said, Srivas, if you don't stop this, we're going to dismantle your house and throw it into the Ganga. So they told that to Advaitacharya. And Advaitacharya, he became very angry. They said, Advaita, you are the Supreme Lord. You're Lord Vishnu. Stop this. You've got to do something. He said, no, this situation is such that only Krishna himself, even I myself, as Mahavishnu. Now, going back to the ontological position, so is he Mahavishnu? No, it says, Srila Prabhupada said, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's an incarnation. Mahavishnu expands himself into two forms. One is Sankarshan, to take care of the efficient creation. That means that he assembles the material elements. And he expands into another form, which is Sadashiva. Sadashiva is the last incarnation of Vishnu before the material world. He's the closest to the material world, but he's still in the spiritual world, Sadashiva. So that Sadashiva, he causes the material nature to work. Therefore, he's called the Upadana, or the one who makes things happen in the material world, but he's not touched by it. And then Sadashiva expands into Rudra, and he enters into the material energy. So Sadashiva, although sometimes we see that Advaitacharya is addressed as Shiva, but he's not Rudra, he's not the Shiva that we see with the Ganga on top of his head within this material world, destroying the material universe at the end of the kalpas. No. He is Sadashiva. He is the direct expansion of Lord Mahavishnu. So because there's no difference between Mahavishnu and his plenary expansion, he is referred to as Mahavishnu. But he's actually Sadashiva. So just to understand who he is. So then Advaita, he took on the Rudra sentiment, his expansion. And he said, these people, I will call Krishna. He must come. And if Krishna doesn't come, I will call for my chakra and I will cut off all of their heads. So, and he said that. He said that because he wanted to make sure that Krishna would come. So he made sure that Krishna heard that if you don't come, there's going to be a lot less Brahmins around. So he says, this is what he said. I'm not going to read that because of time. I'll just read one text. Namabina kali kali dharma nahi ar. Kali kali kaiche abe Krishna avatar. In this age of Kali, there is no religion other than the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. But how in this age will the Lord appear as an incarnation? I shall worship Krishna in a purified state of mind. I shall constantly petition him in humbleness. My name, Advaita, will be fitting if I am able to induce Krishna to inaugurate the movement of chanting the holy name. And Srila Prabhupada also explains in his purport, the non-dualistic Mayavad philosopher falsely believes that he is non-different from the Lord, is unable to call him like Advaita Prabhu. So because his name, Advaita, indicates that he might be a non-dual or impersonal. That's another reason why some people associate him with Mayavad. While he was thinking about how to propitiate Lord Krishna, the following verse came into his mind. Tulasi dalamatrena jalasya chudukena va prikrinite swam atmanam bhaktebhyo bhaktavatsalaha. Sri Krishna, who is very affectionate toward his devotees, sells himself to a devotee who offers him merely a tulsi leaf and a palmful of water. This shows how potent Tulsi Devi is. Tulsi Devi is so powerful and so dear to Krishna that when Krishna expanded himself as the Govardhan deity, he was saying, Aniyor, 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 but there was nothing left. They had already offered everything within miles and kilometers. Every bit, every grain, everything was offered. They were looking, what will we do? And then one devotee offered a tulsi leaf. And he said, now I am satisfied. No. So this is how important tulsi is. I also was, just aside, sometimes we put tulsi in the ground, but you have to be very careful to always cut the manjaris by mantra. Because otherwise the seeds will fall, and then you'll have tulsi growing out of your sidewalk, growing out of your wall, in your driveway. And you won't be able to go home. No, you have to catapult into the house, or something. Like Tarzan, tie a rope and fly into the door. So this is very, very important that we worship Tulsi properly. And of course, what to speak of the holy name? How powerful is the holy name? Advaita Acharya is saying it is the only possibility. Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam, kalo nashteva 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 gatiranyata. So then he says, Advaita Acharya considered the meaning of this verse in this way. Not finding any way to repay the debt he owes Krishna, to one who offers him a tulsi leaf and water, Lord Krishna thinks, there is no wealth in my possession that is equal to a tulsi leaf and water. How important is Tulsi Devi? And then he began to chant loudly. He says then, one more verse. Thus the Lord liquidates the debt by offering himself to the devotee. Considering this way, Advaita began worshipping the Lord. So just by offering, patram pushpam param toyam yome bhakta prayachati, just by offering a leaf, when it speaks about a leaf, especially talking about tulsi, not spinach, not, dashin, but it means Tulsi Devi, You can all use all spinach and dashin, you also offer, but with tulsi. So then he began to worship, and Srila Prabhupada actually in his purport quotes that 926, Patram Pushpam. So then, thinking of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, he constantly offered tulsi buds in water. So he offered manjaris and tulsi leaves. So this is the auspiciousness of Advaita Acharya. So when Lord Chaitanya appeared, I'll just speak one more pastime. Very beautiful pastime of Advaita Acharya. So when Lord Chaitanya, he appeared, but he didn't begin his Sankirtan pastimes. He appeared, as we know, as Nimai Pandit. So why did he take the position of Nimai Pandit? He was puffed up. Gadadhar was very dedicated to Lord Chaitanya. I mean, he loved him because Gadadhar is very serious about devotional service. Gadadhar was very sober, solemn, because he is actually Srimati Radharani without the full sentiments of Radharani. So he's like Radharani but in a more reverential mood. There's a form of Srimati Radharani in Goloka Vrindavan who is married to Krishna. There's a special part of Goloka Vrindavan where Radha and Krishna are married. So that is the Radharani, that is Gadadhar. So Gadadhar would see the Lord. He was so attracted to the Lord because he's Radharani. He wanted to be with the Lord. But he took that particular, Radharani took that form because her sentiments were within Lord Chaitanya. Of course, they weren't manifest yet. So Gadadhar was very, very, he would see the Lord and the Lord would chastise him. And he didn't know what to do. He said, I can't tolerate his chastisement, but I cannot tolerate separation from him. So what do I do? And Mukunda, Lord Chaitanya knew Mukunda was very learned. So Nimai Pandit, he would challenge Mukunda, anytime he saw him. And after he defeated him a few times, then Mukunda, every time he saw Lord Chaitanya, he would turn the other direction. On one occasion, Lord Chaitanya had a servant Govinda, not the same Govinda that he later on, but this was a different Govinda. So he saw Mukunda turn around and go the other direction. And he said, someday he will see that I will become the greatest devotee. And so Govinda thinking, how is this Nimai Pandit ever going to become a devotee? So Govinda went to the devotees and he said, we have to preach to Nimai. He should become a devotee. So the devotees went to Nimai and they said, please become a devotee. He said, by your blessings, maybe it will happen. Then a little later on, he became more intolerable. And the way he would, he was just a heavy-duty pandit. And, very proud. And so then again, this was just before he went to Gaya. And the devotees knew he was going to Gaya, so they said, maybe by the influence of the lotus feet of the Lord you will become a devotee. And he said, by your blessings, surely that will happen. Because he wanted to show it wasn't the Lord's lotus feet that transformed him. It was the mercy of the Vaishnavas. Because it is only the mercy of the Vaishnavas that can transform us. So the Lord went to Gaya. And of course he met Ishwara Puri. He became enamored by the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. And then Ishwara Puri came to his place where he was staying, and Lord Chaitanya begged him for initiation. And Ishwara Puri said, how can I initiate you? You initiate the whole world. But because you're ordering me to initiate you, I will do it. Because I must follow your order. And so anyway, so he took initiation. Then he came back. When he came back, he was completely transformed. He was now chanting the holy name. And so Lord Chaitanya, at one point, he revealed to the devotees who he was, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the house of Srivas. And then he said to Ramai Pandit, you go and call Advaita. Tell him that the person that he prayed for is now here. So Ramai Pandit came to the house of Advaita. Advaita was doing his worship, and he was a Brahmin by profession, so he was always doing some yajna, some worship. And he said that actually Nimai Pandit said that you should come, that the person that you were praying for has come. Otherwise, he is transformed into his devotional form. And he said, who is that person? No. Because immediately when he heard that, he went into ecstasy. Who are you talking about? I'm talking about Nimai Pandit. He said that you should come. Who should come? No. You should come. Where? To Nimai Pandit. He is at Srivas's house. Who is Srivas? No. He was like in such ecstasy. But then he finally realized what was happening. No. So he told Ramai Pandit, you can tell him that if he is that person, if he is that person, then you should tell him that I want to test him. And so Ramai was bewildered, but he said, let me get my paraphernalia. And so, but he was in ecstasy, and he told Sita, gather all the worship, we are going to worship the Lord. And she didn't know which Lord they were going to worship. And so they went together, and Advaita was chanting, he was so blissful. Then they arrived with Lord Chaitanya. And so Advaita said, so Advaita waited outside. And Ramai said that Advaita said that, how does he know that you are that Lord? And so Nimai Pandit, who is now Lord Chaitanya, he called him in. He said, call him in. And he said, why are you acting this way? You know who I am. You called me here, and therefore I have come. And Advaita just went, actually got all of his paraphernalia together. He began to worship the Lord. And his worship was so perfect that the demigods began to appear in the sky. And then the whole sky was filled with demigods. And, I mean, you couldn't see the sky anymore. It was just demigods everywhere. And all kinds of auspicious beings began to play instruments and chanting. And Advaita Acharya went into bliss. And he started chanting and chanting and chanting and chanting. He said, finally, my Lord has come. So actually, but nobody could understand what was really going on, because Lord Chaitanya just gave a little glimpse of who he was. And so they thought Advaita's worshiping him because now he started chanting the holy name. So Advaita was the first one that the Lord revealed himself to. The second one was Shivas. The third one was Murari Gupta. And then the Lord revealed himself in his Mahapraharana Leela to all the devotees. So Advaita Acharya, because he called the Lord, because he knew that only Krishna could save the world, and Krishna also had to come. Krishna promised that he would give shelter to everyone. So the only way he could give shelter to everyone at this point in Kali Yuga was in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself, came. And again, it says throughout Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat that Advaita Acharya was the main cause. So there are two causes for Lord Chaitanya's appearance. One, the internal cause and external cause. The external cause was that he wanted to give Krishna prema freely. And to do that, he became the deliverer of the holy name. Because in other Kali Yugas, also Lord Chaitanya the Lord Narayan comes, Gaura Narayan. He's a golden form of Lord Narayan, but he's not Lord Chaitanya. And he also gives the holy name, but the holy name does not have that special potency of extreme mercy, the Audarya Shakti of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that was distributed, that the seed of which was Advaita Acharya. So Advaita Acharya is so wonderful, and we should tomorrow all worship him and be so grateful that by his mercy and by his compassion for the fallen living souls, actually he could have done it himself. But because even Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, Mahavishnu, Balaram, they all worship Krishna. They all feel that they're servants of Krishna. He wanted the credit to go to Krishna. Of course, Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants the credit to go to Advaita Acharya. The Lord wants his devotees to take credit. And so this is the competition between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotee. The devotees want to glorify Krishna, that he will have all the credit. But Krishna wants, just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna wanted Arjuna to take the credit. Krishna wanted the Pandavas to take the credit. Krishna wanted Yudhishthira to be the king. He was, by Bhishma, Krishna was, proposed to be the head of the Rajasuya sacrifice. But he wanted others to take credit. That's Krishna. So this is the competition between the Lord. The Lord is the first servant. He is the first servant. And that's why we are servants. Everything we find in ourselves is coming from Krishna. Krishna is the first servant and the best servant. And so, just like Srila Prabhupada said about Srimati Radharani, he said, who is this Radha? He said, everyone is looking for Krishna. Pratipadam putam minasvadanam. At every step, every living entity is looking for Krishna, but most of us find a poor substitute that we call our family, our friends, our nation, etc. Poor, very poor substitutes. But we give them all of our love and all of our devotion, because that is the nature of the soul. But he said, everyone is looking for Krishna, and Krishna is looking for Radha. That is how great she is. So both Radha and Krishna are there in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came by the mercy of Sri Advaita Acharya. And therefore, we can have Mahaprabhu in our lives, and we can have the chanting of the holy name in our lives by the mercy of Sri Advaita Acharya. So these are some thoughts on Advaita Acharya. There are many, many beautiful pastimes which you can speak about tomorrow, hopefully. And Advaita, I would recommend, especially when Advaita Acharya brings Lord Chaitanya, when he's on his way to Vrindavan after taking sannyas, and Advaita Acharya brings him back. That was actually the Lord's plan, because he knew that everyone in Navadvip would feel such separation that they may leave their bodies. Actually, Advaita Acharya, when he arrived at the house of Shachi Devi, the morning after Lord Chaitanya left the house about 2 a.m. to take sannyas, and Advaita arrived there about 6 or 7 a.m, he saw Mother Shachi just sitting at the doorstep like a zombie, just like completely without life. He said, "What's wrong?" And he immediately understood. He said, "Nimai has left. He's going to take sannyas." Advaita said to everyone, "Let us all go jump in the Ganga. There is no hope." And then a voice came and said, No. He will come back soon. So Lord Chaitanya knew, after I take sannyas, I have to go back to Navadvip. Otherwise, everyone will die. No. This is how much, no. And we sometimes we have to force ourselves to go to the temple. No. But the devotees, they cannot live without the Lord. Just like Srila Prabhupada says in his purport in Bhagavad Gita here, 9:22, no, that he says, a devotee cannot but 24 hours a day think of the Lord. So this is what we're aspiring for, and Advaita Acharya can give us that mercy. So I'll stop here. Thank you all very much for your attention. Any questions or comments? Yes? Yes, he is Sadashiva. He is the expansion of Sadashiva in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. No difference. Same person. No. Of course, just like in Krishna's pastimes, Sadashiva takes the form of Varshana, no, to support the pastimes of Srimati Radharani. No. And Brahma takes the form of Nandagram to support the pastimes of Krishna's youthful young youth pastimes. So they're always there. Whenever the Lord appears, all of the different, all of Krishna's original, they come and participate in those pastimes. Of course, not when Matsya. When Matsya comes, Kurma, but when Krishna comes, and when Lord Ramachandra comes, all of the, because beginning with Ramachandra, you see, these are the first pastimes where the Lord has pastimes with his parents. Before that, Vamanadev has a little tiny pastime with his parents. He appears before them, but then, first of all, he's not even born. He just appears. He appears in that Vamana form, a dwarf-like form. Just boop, there he is, with a belt on and everything, and so he's not really. So there's no birth pastime. In the form of Kapila Dev, his father leaves. He doesn't have a father. As soon as he's born, his father leaves. So he has his mother. But what does he do with his mother? He grows up very quickly, like that. Just all of a sudden grows up, just like Matsya just grew to an enormous size, like in a few days, few hours, and then days, and he was so big, he couldn't fit in the lake anymore. And so actually Ramachandra is the first appearance of the Lord where he actually has the Leela with his parents. And then Krishna appears. So when Lord Ramachandra appears also, the demigods appear as different personalities in Ayodhya, and some of them appear as monkeys. Some of the monkeys are eternal associates of the Lord, and some of them are demigods. Just like in Krishna's pastimes, some of the cowherd boys are his eternal associates, and some of them are ascending to Goloka Vrindavan. So it's the Lord takes care, so many things he does when he appears. We just see some beautiful leelas, but so much complexity is there. But Krishna takes that complexity out of the minds of the devotees so that they can worship him under the influence of Yoga Maya. He doesn't want them to see these things. So sometimes I compare this, just like cricket is very popular here isn't it, Trinidad? Like probably one of the most popular things. One time I was giving a lecture in India, and there was only like 5 people. This is very unusual. Usually in India, when anybody gives a lecture, it's like 200, 300 people, 500 people. There was only like 20 people. So after the lecture, I said, "Oh, this is very new." I said, "Oh, there's a cricket match." So anyway, if you go to so we can turn on our television and watch a cricket game, and you see everything. The announcer says, this happened, that you see the whole thing. So why do people pay, 500 TT or more to go and sit on the front line? And they can't see everything, but they feel the emotion. So this is like Krishna. When we see Krishna from the viewpoint of Tattva, we can understand Krishna's like this, Yashoda, we understand. So, but those that are on the front line, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, they don't want to see everything. They want to feel the rasa. So we want to feel rasa. Therefore, we go to the cricket game. We pay any amount of money or whatever event because you want to feel the emotion. Because we are emotional. The jiva is an emotional being. Just that if our intelligence is not purified, we can't control our emotions, and the emotions of the soul come out in relation to material energy. And then our emotions get mixed with the modes of nature and causes all kinds of havoc, which we've all experienced to some degree, some more than others. And so, anyway, kind of expanded. So therefore the Lord, but so much complexity is there. But those that are there in that Leela, they could care less. Who's Shiva, who's Brahma, who's that, They just want to get a glimpse of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Mukunda. When the Lord had his Maha Praharana Leela, then Lord Chaitanya, he called everybody. Oh, this is another pastime of Advaita Acharya. I'll just say this real quick. So, Srivas said to the Lord, "You haven't given prema bhakti. You're giving prema bhakti to everyone, but you haven't given it to your mother, Shachi Devi." He said, "No, I cannot give." Shiva said, "No, my Lord, you're joking. This is a very bad joke. No, I will not give her prema bhakti." "No, my Lord, you can't say that. She is the mother of the universe. She is our most worshipable deity." "No, because she has offended Advaita Acharya." "How could she offend Advaita? You worship her, we worship, everyone worships her." "No, I cannot give." And so they called Advaita Acharya, emergency, called Advaita Acharya. So Advaita came. And he said, What's the emergency? "Lord Chaitanya will not give prema bhakti to Shachi Devi because she has offended you." "What?" He said, "No. She is my worshipable deity." He began to glorify her, and he glorified her so much that he fainted. And when he fainted, Mother Shachi ran over and put his feet on her head. And Lord Chaitanya said, "Now I can give her prema bhakti. She has been forgiven." So what was the offense? The offense was that when Vishwarup was going to hear the pastimes of Krishna from Advaita Acharya, he would go every day. And then when Vishwambar, Lord Chaitanya, and a little tiny boy, he became a little bigger, he would go together. And then Vishwarup became so enamored by the philosophy of Advaita Acharya that he left home and he took sannyas. So Mother Shachi was very concerned. If Vishwambar keeps going there, I already lost one son. He may take sannyas too. So she said, I don't think this is, she was thinking, just thinking this. I don't think that he is Advaita. I think he is Dvaita. He is dual. No. He calls himself very merciful, but he is stealing children and turning them into sannyasis. No. Therefore, he is Dvaita. Just by that, Lord Chaitanya said that she has offended Advaitacharya. So why did that pastime happen? To show how much the Lord loves his devotee and how the Lord will not allow anyone to offend the devotees. They cannot get Krishna Bhakti, what to speak of Krishna Prem, if they offend the devotees. No. No. So anyway, so after that, Shiva said, my Lord, you haven't given your mercy to Mukunda. And Lord Chaitanya said, "Oh, I'm not going to give him anything, because he has one hand on my feet and the other hand on my neck." No. So Shivas couldn't understand that. He said, sometimes he associates with the devotees, touching my feet, but sometimes he associates with the Mayavadis on my neck. No. So he's like this. No. So therefore I cannot see him. Mukunda was listening to that at a distance. He said, I'm going to go jump in the Ganga. No. And so, what's the use of living? So Shiva said, but my dear Lord, you're so merciful. Please, please, please give him your mercy. So Lord Chaitanya, because you are asking, I will give him after 1 million lifetimes. You can tell him that. So Shivas went to Mukunda and said, he was a little hesitant. The Lord says after 1 million lifetimes. And Mukunda began to dance in ecstasy. I only have to wait 1 million lifetimes, no, to get his mercy. So how fortunate are we to get Lord Chaitanya's mercy immediately? By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of Parampara. We are getting immediate Lord Chaitanya. How fortunate we are. Therefore we have to take advantage of our good fortune. So we cannot fathom the depth of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I want to thank you all for your kind attention. Unfortunately, well, probably fortunately for you all, I'm leaving. No. Unfortunately for me, I have to give up your association. No. But thank you all very much for, of course, many of you are from Londonville or other places, but thank you all very much, those that are serving here, for your dedication. And of course, we can always use a little more, but anyway, everybody's trying as hard as this. Material world is so nasty. It forces us to spend so much time just to try to take care of this body. We have to go and work 8 hours a day and do so many things and sleep for 6, 7, 8 hours a day and eat, all these things. We could be worshiping the Lord all that time, but that's the nature of the body. So whatever time we get, we should really take advantage of it. In our chanting, in our worship, in our kirtan, in our service. Take advantage to do it with your full heart's desire, because it's so valuable. And because we're so distracted in Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya has put special potency. Nam Namakari Bahura Nija Sarva Shaktis. The holy name always has that potency, but it's not so easily accessible. But Lord Chaitanya has made it easily accessible. Just like when computers first came out, when I was in the university, my first computer that I saw was a little bigger than this room, and it had the capability of about what was it, about 100 bytes. It was as big as this room. And this huge piece of tape would come out, and just to translate one word. And they thought, wow, this is a miracle. And so just as that was so complex, now you just, cell phone, you can have a little thing like that. It's like 2 terabytes. We don't know how it works, but it works. So that mercy is so great and is compacted into the holy name. And if we just try to be a little serious in our chanting, all that potency will be released by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Bindi ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi.